Hi everyone and welcome back. For today's video I thought I would film in front of my bookshelves because you guessed it, I'm gonna talk about books. And I've been watching a whole lot more YouTube videos about books, and I'm just loving this kind of TBR, like to be read list, and then the wrap up at the end of each month. And I thought it would be fun to do that for this summer. So I'm gonna share with you everything that I really want to read this summer. The first book on my list is Happy by Derren. This has been sitting on my TBR shelves for so long. I think I got this like last year. I'm really interested to hear about that. It has to do with happiness and his own personal journey through happiness, and I'm really curious about it. I've heard so many great reviews that I'm really curious to start it. It's actually a pretty long book, like it's over 500 pages, so I thought summer would be the perfect time to read it. The next book on my list has been on my bookshelves for years. It is Big Little Lies by Liane Moriarty. I actually read The Husband's Secret, which is right behind me, a couple of years ago, and I really liked it. So I thought it was time that I read this because, as I told you, it has been sitting on my shelves for years. I really want to watch the TV show, but I want to read the book first, and it's not that easy to find a TV show over here in Belgium. So this is basically, I'm sure it needs no introduction, but in case you're not familiar with it, I think it happens in a little bit in a little town where a new woman moves in with her family. She starts making friends, but secrets happen and it ends up with murder. So I'm really curious about it. Another book that has been on my shelves for years is Holding Up the Universe by Jennifer Niven. If I remember correctly, this is a YA book. I picked it up on a whim on Amazon because they had this amazing sale, and I needed a third book, and I really just bought it because of the cover. So I'm curious to read it. I don't know a lot about it, but I think it's time that I work on my to be read pile. And the last paperback that I have is The Couple Next Door by Shari Lapena. This is a very interesting story. It's basically the story of a couple who goes for dinner at the neighbor's house and they leave their daughter asleep at home. They come back every now and then to check how she's doing, but once they come back and she's gone. So I think it's kind of a thriller mystery. I'm really excited to read it. Now let's move on to my glamorous post-it notes. These are all Kindle books except for the first one. The first one is Mouse, which I'm gonna pop a picture of right here. It is a graphic novel set in World War II. It has been on my radar for a couple of years, but it's not until I read Persepolis a few days ago that I really started to love graphic novels again. So I decided to order it because Renaud, my husband, is interested in it as well. So it's coming in the mail, should come either today or tomorrow, hence why I needed to add the picture, but I'm really excited to read it. The next thing that I have is also, I think it's gonna be either my next book or the one after that. It's The Woman in the Window, and I feel like this is the new summer thriller for this year. You know, I feel like each year we get like The Woman on the Train, we get Gone Girl, we get some sort of thriller, and this is, my opinion, like the summer one. I hear everyone talking about it. It has been translated in so many languages yet. I'm gonna read it in English though, just because I prefer to read the books in the language that they were written in, if that makes any sense. So I have that on my Kindle and I cannot wait to start it. The next on my list is surprising. It is Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. It is a poetry book that I've heard everyone raving about recently, and I'm not really that big into poetry, but I decided to get it. I think that I managed to get it on my Kindle Unlimited subscription. That being said, it has recently been picked as the book of the month on Emma Watson's group on Goodreads, in case you're familiar with it. I think it's the summer book, both July and August. So I thought it was about time to start it, so I'm really curious. I haven't read poetry in years and it's not really my style, but since it was such a big bestseller, I'm really curious. The next book is I Know a Woman by Kate Hodges, and I'm really interested in this book. As you know, I love reading about feminism and strong women and inspiring women around the world, and this is exactly what it is. It's about 84 incredible women through the ages, through the world. I think it talks from Marie Curie to Malala Yousafzai, whose book I read last year and really enjoyed. So I think I'm gonna love that. I think it's also a fun format because it isn't a full book dedicated to just one person. You can learn a little bit about a lot of women and get inspired. The next book that I have is The House of Islam by Husain. I'm really interested about this book because I feel like on the news right now, all we hear about is the refugees, Islam, ISIS, and it's so easy to make up your mind on such a strong subject just by reading the news or watching the news on the TV. And I think it is so important to educate yourself on the current issues. And I decided to pick up this book because it talks about Islam and the belief and the traditions. And to be honest with you, I don't think I know enough about Islam and the religion and how people practice it, and I thought it would be a very interesting book. Sorry, I haven't filmed in a while and I'm a little rusty. And finally, the last book that I have on my reading list is Robert F. Kennedy, Ripples of Hope. Let me get the subtitle because I think it explains the book really well. So, Robert F. Kennedy, Ripples of Hope, Kerry Kennedy in conversation with head of states, business leaders, influencers and activists about her father's impact on their lives. And as you guessed it, it was written by Kerry Kennedy. I feel like the Kennedys are always interesting. I'm really curious to dig into this book, and I know that my mom is as well. We both really enjoy reading and learning more about the Kennedys. I think it's an absolutely fascinating family, and I don't know a lot about Robert, so I jumped on the occasion, and I think it is a great way to approach the subject rather than reading a traditional biography or history about the person he was. I think it is really nice and really original to talk with people that he had an impact on. And we actually, my husband and I, we watched a documentary about him a few months ago that really started my will to learn more, because in that documentary a few of his former friends and former, how would you say that, colleagues were talking about him and the relationship, and it was very interesting. So that's it for me today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, or if you want to share a couple of books that you hope to read this summer, leave that in the comments down below. I'm always happy to hear about your recommendations or your to-be read list. I'm also going to link all the books that I've talked about in the description box, as well as my Goodreads profile in case you want to follow me on there and just stay up to date with what I'm reading and my reviews. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye everyone!